Have you ever read a story and wondered what's going on behind the scenes in the writer's mind? What if the writer actually told you? Today, we're stepping into the world of David Foster Wallace's Consider the Lobster, where he does exactly that. And instead of giving us a simple review of the Maine Lobster Festival, Wallace pulls back the curtain, revealing the inner workings of journalism itself. And this self-reflective style is known as meta-journalism. It's like watching a magician not just perform the trick, but also explain the art of illusion while doing it. So, let's journey together into this unique approach and see how Wallace turns a festival review into a masterclass in storytelling. All right, let's start by understanding what we mean by meta-journalism. At its core, meta-journalism is like a mirror held up to the process of journalism itself. Instead of just telling the story, the writer also reflects on how the story is being told. Think of it as a behind-the-scenes tour of a movie. Instead of just enjoying the film, you also get to see how the scenes were set up, how the actors prepared, and how the director made choices. In the world of writing, meta-journalism offers a similar peek behind the curtain. It's a way for writers like Wallace to share not just the main narrative, but also their doubts, thoughts, and decisions about how they're presenting that narrative. In an age where we're constantly bombarded with information, this self-aware style can be a refreshing way to understand not just the what, but also the why and how of a story. Moving forward, one of the standout features in Consider the Lobster is Wallace's remarkable self-awareness. From the get-go, he doesn't just describe the Maine Lobster Festival. He also shares his own reactions, feelings, and even the challenges he faces in writing about it. For instance, he mentions the glossy festival brochures and contrasts them with his own observations, highlighting the difference between promotional material and a journalist's perspective. He also openly talks about the expectations of the magazine that sent him, hinting at the potential pressure to paint the festival in a certain light. And throughout the essay, he doesn't shy away from expressing his own discomfort with some aspects of the event, especially the boiling of the lobsters. By doing this, Wallace isn't just giving us facts, he's giving us context. He's showing us the landscape of his mind, the decisions he's struggling with, and the moral questions he's pondering. It's like having a conversation with the author as he's crafting the story, making the entire reading experience more intimate and engaging. Now, one of the most intriguing aspects of Consider the Lobster is how Wallace challenges the very idea of journalistic objectivity. We often think of journalists as detached observers, simply reporting the facts. But Wallace turns this notion on its head. Instead of just presenting the festival as it is, he constantly interjects with his own thoughts, feelings, and moral quandaries. For example, when describing the act of boiling lobsters, he doesn't just state the process. He questions it, wonders about the pain the lobsters might feel, and reflects on the ethics of the whole practice. By doing so, he's not just a reporter, he becomes a commentator, blending fact with opinion. This approach makes us, the readers, question what true objectivity is. Can anyone be completely unbiased, or do our personal beliefs and feelings always color our perspective? Wallace's style in this essay suggests that maybe pure objectivity is a myth. Instead, perhaps it's more honest to acknowledge our biases and let readers see the story through our eyes, complete with all its complexities and nuances. Let's shift our focus to another fascinating element, the role of us, the readers, in Consider the Lobster. Wallace's style isn't just about sharing his perspective, it's also about engaging us in a dialogue. Throughout the essay, he doesn't spoon-feed us answers. Instead, he often poses questions, leaving them hanging in the air for us to think about. Take, for instance, his discussions about the ethics of boiling lobsters. He presents various viewpoints, shares some scientific insights, and then leaves the moral judgment open-ended. This approach invites us to actively engage with the material, to reflect on our own beliefs, and to draw our own conclusions. By doing this, Wallace transforms the reading experience. We're no longer passive consumers of information. We become active participants, thinkers, and even co-authors of the narrative. It's a subtle invitation from Wallace, urging us to not just read, but to think, question, and engage with all of the complexities in the world around us. One of the striking elements in Consider the Lobster is Wallace's use of contrast and juxtapositions. He paints a vivid picture of the Maine Lobster Festival, capturing its lively atmosphere, the excitement of the attendees, and the allure of the event. He writes, "The world's largest lobster cooker, which is highlighted as an attraction in the festival's program, is a rectangular waist-high steel box. This cooker, with its capacity to boil over 100 lobsters at once, becomes a symbol of the festival's grandeur." Yet, alongside this festive portrayal, Wallace doesn't shy away from presenting the darker side. He describes the lobster's fate in stark terms, noting their struggle to get out and the terrible noise they make when boiled. He writes, however stuporous the lobster is from the trip home, for instance, it tends to come alarmingly to life when placed in boiling water. These stark contrasts serve a purpose. By placing joyous celebrations and the grim reality side by side, Wallace forces us to confront the moral and ethical implications of our actions. It's a powerful technique, making us question the cost of our pleasures and the often unseen consequences of our traditions. When reading David Foster Wallace, one can't help but notice his frequent use of footnotes. In Consider the Lobster, these footnotes aren't just afterthoughts or minor clarifications. They play a central role in the narrative, often adding depth or presenting a twist to the main text. For instance, in the main body of the essay, Wallace might be describing the festive atmosphere of the Maine Lobster Festival, but then, in a footnote, he might share a detailed account of the nervous system of lobsters, making us question if they feel pain. One such footnote reads, "The more important point here, though, is that the common belief of sentience in lobsters doesn't extend to any conviction about suffering." This footnote, juxtaposed against the main narrative, forces us to pause and reflect on the ethical implications of boiling these creatures. By using footnotes in this way, Wallace achieves a layered narrative. The main text and the footnotes often engage in a dialogue, with the footnotes offering counterpoints or insights or deeper reflections. It's as if Wallace is having a conversation with himself, and we, the readers, are privy to his most inner thoughts and conflicts. And this technique enriches the reading experience, making us more aware of the complexities of the issues he's discussing. As we wrap up our exploration of Consider the Lobster, it's clear that David Foster Wallace's approach is far from conventional. Through his self-awareness, challenges to journalistic objectivity, and unique use of footnotes, he transforms what could have been a simple festival review into a thought-provoking reflection on ethics, culture, and the nature of storytelling. His ability to juxtapose the lively festivities with the grim fate of the lobsters serves as a reminder of the often overlooked realities behind our traditions. And by actively involving us, the readers, he ensures that the essay isn't just a passive read, but an invitation to engage, question, and reflect. In the end, Consider the Lobster isn't just about a festival or lobsters. It's about how we view the world, the choices we make, and the stories we tell. Now that we've journeyed through Consider the Lobster together, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you read the essay? Did it change the way you think about festivals, traditions, or even the broader ethics of our choices? Share your reflections in the comments below, and I encourage you to like this video and subscribe. And if you haven't read the essay yet, I encourage you to give it a go. It's a reading experience that's sure to leave an impression. Let's keep the conversation going and continue exploring the many layers of literature together. Ta-ta!